You mentioned an interesting a word that came up a lot when we did events like this. We did focus group type things in the early 2000s as part of our fiscal wake up tour around the era of 2005, 2006. And one of the most consequential findings that we came up with was a profound lack of trust. I mean, just really deep seated lack of trust, which uh, and the question really that we posed then, and I'd pose to you is, does that 20 years later, is that still true? And B, does it pose a hurdle to any sort of fiscal reforms that the government might need to take?
The 20 years on, it's worse than it was before, not better. And it's an impediment not just dealing with fiscal issues, it's an impediment dealing with every issue. If you don't trust the people in charge to make decisions in your best interest, you're not going to want them to make any decisions. And to me, it contributes substantially to the inertia in our country. And that's been now combined with the idea that compromise is a dirty word. And so you've got politicians who are not trusted. Their constituents think that compromise means losing. So, and if you have members who are in very deep red or deep blue districts, their constituents aren't all that excited about having them compromise because it just means that they're not going to see their way forward. It's going to be the other side that wins. So I think we've got a huge problem here, and we need to figure out this trust issue and figure it out fast. Otherwise, getting things done is going to be extremely hard. And I mean, things do occur. Don't get me wrong, but it's the exception rather than the rule, and we need to make the rule again, which is compromise is important and central to the functioning of a democracy.
Well, we've got I don't just to follow up on that. It's alarming because we have some big fiscal deadlines coming up, which is the impending solvency of Social Security within 10 years and Medicare Part A within about 10 years. We've got expiring tax cuts. We've got lapsing caps on discretionary spending. So you look ahead over the next 10 years and think one way, well, the debt limit comes back again in 2025. We have these big fiscal deadlines coming up, and I don't know how long we can keep pushing them off into the future without taking some tough steps. And if politicians aren't, people don't have the trust in the politicians to make these tough decisions, there are some unfortunate consequences for fiscal policy, seems to me.
Absolutely. I think understanding what the public is willing to accept and not accept regarding entitlement spending and the budget generally is really important, because a ill-informed step on the part of policymakers can mean that there's a backlash if they change the law. And we certainly have seen that. We can go back to the late 80s, right? And some of the long-term care, right? I mean, we remember that
Yeah.
debate going way, way back. You can easily pass something and then repeal it 13 months later if it isn't working out. And I'm concerned that some very aggressive steps might be taken because they're the prudent thing to do fiscally, but there's not enough political support, and there'll be a backlash.